Welcome back to Wall Street Confidential. We're continuing with Jim Cramer's Dow 30 stocks and how he expects them to perform in the new year. All right, Jim, so we are moving along here. Bank of America. You were talking about how banks are there's a new frontier for banks in 2009 with all that's going on with the federal intervention. Where do you see Bank of America?
Bank of America bit off a lot. Remember, they bought Merrill Lynch and they bought Countrywide, and they didn't pay cheap prices. So Bank of America really needs this housing bottom that I've been talking about in June 30th. And I also think that unless they do radical cost cuts and do lots of firings, they're not going to make their numbers, and the dividend will be in doubt. Once again, like American Express, if you think that the banking industry is going to come back, I would rather play it with the other ones that I'm buying for ActionAlertsPlus.com, Wells Fargo or JP Morgan. I have a lot of JP Morgan. Wells Fargo is certainly more interesting than Bank of America because they got a better deal. Now, they still paid too much for Wachovia versus what Citi was going to do for it, but I think that Merrill is not as valuable as Wachovia if you get a turn in housing.
I see. And June 30th is still your target date?
Absolutely not changed at all.
Okay. Moving on, Boeing. Infrastructure.
Boeing paid too much to the unions. Boeing's have a hard time making the new plane. The leasing companies, which have been the typical buyers of Boeing, are all on the ropes. Boeing's a problematic stock in the Dow, and I just really want to tell people that there's going to be disappointment after disappointment in 2009. It might be an interesting 2010 story, and then I think they'll ship a lot of planes. But that's not going to be what you invest in now.
And in fact, you say it's one of your the most concerned stock you have, more than GM.
Yeah, because Boeing could have a major shortfall. Now, see, what is intriguing is they just raised their dividend. So it's difficult to think that they will now cut their dividend. But we've seen that happen time and again. We saw Kodak raise its dividend and then cut it. And I'm just saying that Boeing, I'm not saying, historically it's been a conservatively run company, but I don't like that union agreement, and I thought that the raising the dividend was reckless. All
right, and to round out here we got Citigroup, again with banks.
Good percentage gain, I think it could be. 10 is where all the government stock comes in, so I think you've got a real ceiling there. But if you can gain 2 points on a $6 and change stock, it's a win. And I think that Vikram Pandit's been there for 1 year. It's time. He's going to start making the cuts.
He has to, right? Because they got that $25 billion.
Right, but they need more funding. And given the way that banks have to put up a lot of cash in order to be able to make loans, unless the Federal Reserve changes those rules and lightens up on how much cash you have to put in, Citigroup is still going to be handicapped. But what I like about Citigroup is that it's saleable assets. And I think they'll be sold.
Divide and conquer.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Jim Cramer. Those are some more of our Dow 30 picks. You can get these all on realmoney.com. And of course, stay tuned for more videos as we continue our look at the Dow Jones in 2009.